Let's be real. We all have a past. Some parts of it are beautiful, moments of joy, accomplishments, and growth. But then, there are the parts we'd rather forget. The mistakes, the failures, and the moments we wish we could undo. These are the moments that often stick with us, replaying in our minds, reminding us of who we once were, and making us feel like we can never escape that version of ourselves. Have you ever caught yourself thinking, "I'll never be able to move beyond what I've done"? Or, "My past is holding me back"? It's a trap many of us fall into, believing that our past somehow dictates our future. But here's the truth. Your past doesn't have to control your future. It's part of your story, yes, but it's not the whole book. You have the power to rewrite the chapters that are still to come. In this episode, we'll explore how to never let your past define your future. The past is a part of you, but it is not the entirety of who you are. It doesn't have to shape the life you're creating now. You have the ability to take control, to transform your narrative, and to redefine who you are, starting today. 1. Own your past, but refuse to be trapped by it. Have you ever found yourself stuck in a cycle of regret, constantly replaying past mistakes in your mind? Maybe there's something in your history that keeps creeping into your present, limiting your potential. Perhaps it's a mistake, a failure, or a painful memory that keeps telling you who you are and what you're capable of. But here's the truth. You are not your past, and what happened to you doesn't have to control who you are today. Owning your past means acknowledging it. It means saying, "Yes, that happened. Yes, I made mistakes. And yes, I experienced pain." But owning your past doesn't mean being owned by it. Your past is a part of you, but it's not the whole story. Too many people get caught up in the idea that their past defines them. They believe that their failures or hardships are like chains they'll never be able to break free from. But that's not true. The Stoics understood this concept deeply. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most influential Stoic philosophers, wrote in his Meditations, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." What Marcus was reminding us is that we can't change the past, but we can control how we respond to it. We don't have to let it define us. Think about it. How many times have you made a mistake, and instead of learning from it, you let it dictate your self-worth? We all have that tendency to identify with our past, but if you let your past mistakes or painful experiences define you, you're giving away your power to something that no longer serves you. So, how do we break free from this cycle? The first step is to acknowledge your past without letting it trap you. Recognize that you are not your failures. Your mistakes don't define who you are. They simply reflect what you've learned and what you're capable of growing from. Let's take a step back and look at your past objectively. Instead of viewing it as a source of shame, see it as a teacher. Every mistake, every setback, and every painful moment carries a lesson. The key is to extract the lesson and move forward, without letting the mistakes define you. Every time you accept and learn from your past, it becomes a tool to build your future, not a weight that holds you down. One powerful way to do this is through self-reflection. Take some time today to think about the mistakes or challenges you've faced in the past. Ask yourself, what can I learn from this? And how has this shaped me in a positive way? You might be surprised by the answers. When you start looking at your past through the lens of growth and learning, you free yourself from its hold. It's important to realize that your future isn't set in stone by your past. You are capable of growth and transformation every single day. Own your past, acknowledge it, but refuse to let it be the reason you hold back. The more you focus on who you're becoming, the less power your past will have over you. You can choose to move forward, and that's the power you have. The power to decide who you will be, starting today. 2. Rewrite your personal narrative. Have you ever caught yourself telling the same old story about who you are and why you can't achieve something? Maybe it's the story of, "I'm just not good enough," or "I'll never succeed because of what happened in the past." These stories, though they may feel comforting, are often the very things that hold us back. The story you tell yourself shapes your reality, and if you keep telling yourself that you can't move forward, you'll never have the motivation to try. But here's the liberating truth. You have the power to rewrite your narrative. The story of who you are doesn't have to be defined by your past mistakes, the things others have said about you, or the labels you've carried for years. The story you tell yourself today can shape the person you become tomorrow. Think about it. How many times have you let a past failure or experience define your capabilities? Maybe you tried something and it didn't work out, and now you've been carrying that failure around, convinced that it's just who you are. But you are not your mistakes. You are not what other people think of you. You are what you decide to be. The story you tell yourself today becomes the reality you live tomorrow. The Stoics were masters of changing their personal narratives. They understood that the story of who you are is constantly evolving. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, often reflected on the need to keep adjusting his perspective and his behavior to align with the person he wanted to be. He didn't let his past define him. Instead, he saw it as a chance to continue growing, evolving, and becoming the best version of himself. As he said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." If you find yourself stuck in a negative narrative, it's time to change the script. Take a step back and think about the story you're telling yourself. Is it helping you, or is it keeping you stuck? If it's the latter, it's time to rewrite it. Maybe it's time to stop saying, "I'll never succeed," and start saying, "I'm learning, growing, and adapting to whatever comes my way." Rewriting your narrative doesn't mean ignoring your mistakes. It means choosing to see them as lessons rather than permanent labels. It means recognizing that you have the power to create your future, no matter where you've been. A simple exercise you can try today is to sit down and write your personal narrative as if you were telling your story to someone else. But here's the twist. Write it as the person you're becoming, not the person you've been. Focus on how you're overcoming obstacles, how you're learning from the past, and how you're taking action toward the future you want to create. If you keep telling yourself that you're stuck, you'll stay stuck. But if you start telling yourself that you are capable of change and growth, you'll start to move toward that change, step by step. Remember, the most powerful thing you can do is change the way you see yourself. The story you tell yourself today is the life you will live tomorrow. So, take control of that story. Own it. Write it with intention, and step into the life you're meant to create. 3. Turn past failures into a weapon, not a wound. Have you ever looked at a failure and thought, "That's it, I'm done," or "I'll never try again"? It's easy to think of failure as something to fear, something that marks the end of the road. But here's the truth. The strongest people aren't the ones who never fail. They're the ones who turn failure into fuel. Failure isn't the end. It's a powerful weapon, a tool you can use to sharpen your skills and push forward toward your goals. The challenge isn't avoiding failure, it's what you do when you fail. Most people see failure as a wound, something that leaves them hurt, embarrassed, or discouraged. But if you can shift your mindset and see failure as a weapon, you will turn every setback into an opportunity for growth. Instead of allowing it to defeat you, use it to propel you forward. The Stoics were brilliant at using failure as a source of strength. They didn't fear setbacks. They embraced them as part of the process. Epictetus, one of the most well-known Stoic philosophers, taught that failure is not the result of being inadequate. It is the result of an inability to control your reactions. In other words, it's not the failure itself that hurts us. It's how we choose to respond to it. If we let it break us, then it becomes a wound. But if we choose to learn from it, it becomes a weapon that helps us build the future we want. Let's take a look at some examples. Thomas Edison, one of history's greatest inventors, failed thousands of times before he created the light bulb. Each failure taught him something new, and each lesson brought him one step closer to success. The same is true for Michael Jordan, who famously said, "I've missed more than 9,000 shots in my career. I've lost almost 300 games. 26 times I've been trusted to take the game-winning shot and missed. I've failed over and over and over again in my life, and that is why I succeed." Both Edison and Jordan saw failure as a lesson to learn from, not something to be ashamed of. Think about your own life. What failures have you experienced? Maybe you tried something and it didn't work out. Maybe you made a mistake that cost you something important. Instead of letting those moments define you, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? How can I use this to become stronger? By reframing failure in this way, you stop seeing it as a mark against you and start seeing it as a tool for growth. Turning failure into a weapon requires resilience, the ability to get up, learn, and keep moving forward. Every time you face a setback, you have a choice. You can let it defeat you, or you can use it to build your strength. It's about turning your pain into power, your mistakes into lessons, and your losses into motivation. So the next time you fail, don't see it as a wound. See it as a weapon, a tool that will make you sharper, more resilient, and more determined. Every failure is an opportunity to improve, and every setback brings you one step closer to success. 4. Cut ties with people who keep you chained to your past. Have you ever noticed how some people in your life continue to see you through the lens of your past? They remember the mistakes you made, the person you used to be, and every failure you've experienced. While their memories of you might come from a place of love, if they can't see the new version of you, it's time to reconsider their place in your life. Some people will always keep you chained to who you were, not who you've become. And it's important to recognize when it's time to let go of these connections. The past can be a heavy weight, especially when others are constantly reminding you of it. The people you surround yourself with have the power to either uplift you or hold you back. If you spend your time with people who only see your flaws or your old mistakes, it's harder to step into the new version of yourself. These relationships can make you feel like you're always fighting to prove that you've changed, but you don't need to live up to someone else's outdated version of you. The Stoics emphasize the importance of choosing your companions wisely. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, often reminded himself that our environment shapes who we are. He wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." In other words, the people you allow into your life can either push you forward or hold you back. Surround yourself with those who align with your goals, who believe in the potential you're working to fulfill, and who challenge you to be better, not those who constantly remind you of past failures. It's difficult to cut ties with people, especially if they've been a part of your life for a long time. Maybe it's a friend who keeps bringing up your old mistakes, or a family member who doesn't support the changes you're making. These relationships can be hard to navigate because there's an emotional attachment. But the question you need to ask yourself is this relationship helping me become the person I want to be, or is it keeping me stuck in the past? Sometimes it's not about cutting people off entirely, but about setting boundaries. You don't have to sever all ties with someone who keeps you tethered to who you were, but you do need to set clear boundaries to protect your energy and your growth. If someone can't see your potential, or if they're constantly holding you to a past version of yourself, it's okay to step back and protect your own well-being. Remember, you don't need to seek validation from people who can't see the real you. Surround yourself with people who encourage your growth, who see the changes you've made, and who believe in the person you are becoming. Choose to invest your time in relationships that inspire you to be better, not in those that make you feel small or stuck. The right people will help you flourish. They'll remind you of who you are becoming, not who you were. And when you let go of the relationships that keep you tied to your past, you'll create space for the connections that will push you forward, allowing you to step fully into the future you're creating. 5. Create a vision that drowns out your past. How often do you find yourself looking back at your past, wishing things had turned out differently? It's easy to get caught in the past, replaying what could have been, what went wrong, or what mistakes you made. The problem is, as long as you're looking back, you're not moving forward. The key to breaking free from your past is to create a vision so powerful, so compelling, that it drowns out the noise of what's behind you. Think about it. When you're focused on where you're going, your past loses its grip. The more obsessed you become with your future, the goals you want to achieve, the person you want to become, the less power your past will have over you. The future should be your driving force, not the past. When you have a vision for your life that excites and energizes you, it becomes the lens through which you view everything. The more focused you are on the life you're creating, the less room there is for your past mistakes, regrets, and setbacks. If your vision is strong enough, it will guide you, motivate you, and help you keep moving forward, no matter what happened before. The Stoics were masters at staying focused on what was within their control and not getting bogged down by external circumstances. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, frequently reminded himself of his purpose and the bigger picture. He understood that focusing on the future, on the life he wanted to live, was key to overcoming any challenges that came his way. The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts, he wrote. When you focus your thoughts on the future you want to create, the past becomes just a series of lessons, not something that holds you back. So, how do you create this vision? It starts with clarity. Take some time to really think about what you want for your life. What are your goals? What kind of person do you want to become? What kind of impact do you want to have on the world? Your vision needs to be clear, vivid, and deeply connected to your values and aspirations. The clearer your vision, the more powerful it becomes. Once you have that vision, get obsessed with it. Think about it daily. Visualize it regularly. Let it fill your mind so completely that your past fades into the background. When you're passionate about where you're going, your past struggles seem small in comparison to the possibility of what's ahead. And it's not just about dreaming, it's about taking action. A vision without action is just a fantasy. Set clear goals that align with your vision and take steps every day toward making that vision a reality. When you focus on what you can do today to move toward your future, your past becomes irrelevant. It no longer has the power to define you because you are too busy building the future you've always wanted. Creating a vision that drowns out your past requires consistency and commitment. You need to remind yourself daily of where you're going and why it matters. When you are obsessed with your vision, you won't have time to look back. Your future will be so much bigger and more exciting than anything behind you. 6. Challenge every self-limiting belief. How many times have you thought, "I'm just not good enough," or "I'll never be able to do that"? These thoughts are not uncommon. They are beliefs we carry around with us, often without even realizing how powerful they can be. Self-limiting beliefs are the stories we tell ourselves about what we can and cannot do. They form based on past experiences, fears, or messages we've internalized from others. But here's the catch. Just because a belief has been a part of your life doesn't mean it's true. If you want to break free from your past, you have to start by challenging the beliefs that are keeping you stuck. These beliefs are like invisible chains. They shape your actions, limit your potential, and keep you in the confines of your comfort zone. But the good news is, you have the power to change them. You are not defined by the beliefs that once held you back. The Stoics understood the power of beliefs. They knew that our perception of the world shapes our reality, and therefore we have the ability to change our lives by changing the way we think. Epictetus, one of the most renowned Stoic philosophers, said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This idea is central to understanding how our self-limiting beliefs work. We may not always have control over the events in our lives, but we always have control over how we interpret them and, more importantly, how we respond to them. So, what are these self-limiting beliefs? Maybe it's the belief that you're not smart enough to succeed in a new career, or that you'll always struggle with your health because you've failed before. These beliefs often come from past experiences, but the problem is that they don't define your potential today. Just because you weren't successful at something in the past doesn't mean you can't succeed at it now. You are not the person you once were. You are constantly evolving, and that means your potential is always expanding. To challenge these beliefs, start by identifying them. What are the beliefs that are holding you back? When you hear that voice in your head telling you that you can't do something, ask yourself, is this belief based on fact, or is it just a story I've been telling myself? More often than not, you'll realize that these beliefs are just assumptions that are keeping you from taking action. Once you've identified your limiting beliefs, it's time to challenge them. Ask yourself, what evidence do I have that this belief is true? More often than not, you'll find that there's very little evidence to support it. Instead of focusing on what you believe you can't do, start focusing on what you can do. Look for examples in your life where you've succeeded, no matter how small. Use those examples to build a new, empowering narrative about your abilities. Here's the important part. You don't have to believe everything your mind tells you. Just because your mind tells you that you're not capable doesn't mean it's true. You have the power to change the narrative. When you start to challenge these self-limiting beliefs, you create space for new beliefs to grow, beliefs that empower you rather than hold you back. Remember, every time you challenge a belief that limits you, you are one step closer to becoming the person you want to be. It's about taking control of your thoughts and understanding that your potential is limitless, and the only thing standing in your way is what you choose to believe. 7. Act like the person you want to become. How many times have you said to yourself, "I'll start working on that once I feel more ready," or "I'll be more confident when I've learned more"? It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that change comes from simply waiting for the right moment or feeling a certain way. But here's the truth. You don't change by thinking about it. You change by doing it. You don't have to wait for the perfect conditions or for a sense of readiness. If you want to become someone different, start acting like that person today. The idea of acting like the person you want to become is rooted in the belief that our actions shape our identity. The Stoics understood this deeply. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, often reminded himself that the key to becoming a virtuous person was not just thinking about virtue, but practicing it daily. Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one, he wrote. This is the essence of acting like the person you want to become. You become the person you aspire to be by living as if you already are that person. Think about the traits you admire in others, whether it's confidence, discipline, kindness, or resilience. It's easy to think of these qualities as something you either have or don't have, but the truth is, these are habits and behaviors that can be developed. You don't become disciplined by reading about discipline. You become disciplined by practicing it. You don't become confident by wishing for it. You become confident by stepping into situations where you can demonstrate confidence. Let's take a practical example. Imagine you want to be more disciplined with your fitness. It's easy to say, I'll start working out when I feel more motivated, but that motivation often never comes. Instead, the key is to act like someone who values fitness. That means getting up and working out, even when you don't feel like it. It means making it a non-negotiable part of your routine, just like any other commitment in your life. By acting like someone who values fitness, you build the discipline necessary to make it a permanent part of your life. Over time, the more you act in alignment with the person you want to be, the more natural it becomes. You don't change by thinking about change. You change by practicing it. The same applies to any other goal you have. Want to be a successful entrepreneur? Start acting like one today. Get up early, set clear goals, and take consistent action, even if you're still in the beginning stages. Want to be a confident speaker? Start speaking, even if it's in small settings. The more you act as though you've already become the person you want to be, the faster you'll start embodying those qualities. When you act like the person you want to become, you're not waiting for a magic moment of readiness. You're creating that moment through action. It's about being proactive and taking steps every day that align with your future self. Every decision, every small step, every action is a reflection of the person you are becoming. The key here is consistency. If you keep acting in alignment with your desired self, the transformation happens slowly but surely. Eventually, you won't just be acting like the person you want to be, you'll become that person. Your actions will match your aspirations, and your identity will naturally shift to reflect the life you've been building. So, stop waiting for the right moment, the right feeling, or the right conditions. Start acting now. Every small decision you make today is a building block for who you will become tomorrow. The more you act like the person you want to be, the closer you get to that reality. Your future self is already waiting for you to show up. Don't wait any longer to step into that version of you. 8. Reflect without dwelling. Learn without self-punishment. Have you ever found yourself stuck in a cycle of regret, constantly replaying your past mistakes in your mind? It's easy to fall into this trap, constantly reflecting on the things you wish you'd done differently. You can spend hours, days, or even years beating yourself up for a mistake, thinking that somehow regret will help you grow. But here's the truth. Reflection is essential for growth, but dwelling on your mistakes only keeps you stuck. The Stoics understood that growth requires self-reflection, but they also knew that dwelling on the past, especially on mistakes, was detrimental. They taught that while it's important to learn from the past, it's equally important to move on from it. Epictetus, a renowned Stoic philosopher, said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." This means that the pain of our mistakes is often magnified by our overthinking. We're not just replaying the past, we're adding layers of unnecessary suffering on top of it. Reflection should serve as a tool for growth, not a prison. The goal is not to dwell on how you could have done things differently, but to extract the lesson and move forward. Mistakes are inevitable. They are not a reflection of your character, but rather a reflection of your growth process. So, the key is to learn without punishing yourself. It's easy to think that if you beat yourself up enough, you'll somehow pay for your mistakes. But the truth is, self-punishment doesn't lead to growth. It leads to guilt, shame, and stagnation. The more you ruminate on the past, the more you stay tied to it. Instead, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? How can I use this experience to make better choices moving forward? This shift in focus will not only help you grow, but it will allow you to let go of the past and move on with purpose. Think about the lessons you've learned through failure. Maybe you've made a bad decision in the past that cost you something important, whether it was a career opportunity, a relationship, or even your self-confidence. Instead of focusing on the failure itself, think about what it taught you. What would you do differently now? What insights have you gained that will help you make better decisions in the future? Growth comes from understanding that your past mistakes are part of the journey, but they are not the destination. You don't need to live in the past in order to learn from it. The key is to reflect on the lesson, not the pain. Take the wisdom that failure offers, and then move forward with your new insights. And here's the important part. Forgive yourself. The more you beat yourself up over your mistakes, the more you stay stuck in the past. Self-forgiveness is crucial for growth. Understand that you are a work in progress, and the only way to move forward is to let go of the past. Reflect without dwelling. Learn without punishing yourself. Use your experiences as stepping stones, not anchors. So, when you make a mistake, reflect on it briefly. Ask yourself, what can I learn? Then, release the guilt and move forward with purpose. You don't need to carry the burden of self-punishment. You only need to carry the lessons you've learned, and they will guide you toward a better, stronger future. 9. Forgive yourself aggressively. How many times have you caught yourself thinking about something you did in the past and felt a wave of guilt wash over you? Maybe it was a decision you regret, a mistake you wish you could undo, or a choice that left you with a sense of shame. It's natural to feel remorse over our actions, but here's the truth. Holding on to guilt and regret does nothing but keep you chained to the past. Forgiving yourself, truly and aggressively, is the key to moving forward and unlocking your potential. Self-forgiveness is often the hardest kind of forgiveness. We might find it easier to forgive others, but when it comes to forgiving ourselves, the weight of our mistakes can feel crushing. We tell ourselves that we should have known better, that we should have done things differently. We may think that by holding on to our guilt, we're somehow making up for what we've done. But that's simply not the case. Carrying guilt doesn't make us better people. It keeps us stuck in the past, preventing us from becoming the person we want to be. The Stoics understood that growth and virtue require self-acceptance. They taught that it's essential to learn from our mistakes, but just as important is to let go of the emotional burden of those mistakes. Seneca, one of the great Stoic philosophers, said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." And one of the biggest ways we waste time is by continually punishing ourselves for past actions that we can no longer change. When we hold on to guilt, we are wasting the precious present moment. We are allowing the past to govern our emotions and actions, instead of using that energy to create the future we desire. Forgiving yourself aggressively means letting go of the past and choosing to move forward without the weight of guilt holding you back. This doesn't mean excusing your mistakes or pretending they didn't happen. It's about acknowledging them, understanding the lessons they brought, and then deciding that they no longer have power over you. It's about saying, I made that mistake, but it doesn't define me. I'm learning from it, and I'm moving forward. That shift in mindset is what sets you free. The next time you find yourself wrapped up in regret, ask yourself, what am I holding onto this guilt for? How is this helping me grow? Often you'll realize that it's not helping at all. It's just keeping you stuck in a place of shame and self-doubt. True growth comes from self-compassion, not self-punishment. Forgive yourself as aggressively as you would forgive a close friend. If a friend made a mistake, you would offer understanding, compassion, and support. You deserve that same forgiveness. It's time to let go of the past and embrace the possibility of what's to come. When you forgive yourself, you unlock a new sense of freedom, a freedom to pursue your goals without the heavy burden of guilt. You free yourself to act, to try again, and to move forward with strength. You are not defined by your mistakes. You are defined by how you choose to respond to them. So today, make the choice to forgive yourself. Aggressively forgive yourself. Release the guilt, embrace the lesson, and step forward into the person you are becoming. Your future is waiting for you, and it's time to step into it, unburdened by the past. 10. Reinvent yourself relentlessly. How many times have you thought, I've already made so many mistakes, it's too late for me to change? Maybe you feel like who you were yesterday is who you'll always be, and that your past decisions or mistakes define who you are today. But the truth is, you are under no obligation to be who you were yesterday. You have the power to reinvent yourself, relentlessly if necessary, because reinvention is not just a one-time event. It's a continuous process that allows you to step into the life you've always dreamed of. You are not bound by your past. Reinvention is your superpower, and it's one of the most empowering tools you can use to break free from old patterns and become the person you're meant to be. Whether it's changing the way you think, adopting new habits, or taking different actions, you are constantly evolving, and you have the ability to shape who you are at any moment. The Stoics understood this. They believed that we have the power to continuously shape our lives through conscious decisions. Epictetus said, "The key is to keep company only with people who uplift you, whose presence calls forth your best." This applies not only to the people you surround yourself with, but also to the person you are becoming. Reinventing yourself means making a conscious effort to evolve, to let go of old habits, and to embrace new possibilities. One of the most powerful ways to reinvent yourself is to let go of the labels others have given you, and the labels you've given yourself. You are not the same person you were last year, last month, or even last week. Every day offers a new opportunity to start fresh, to leave behind who you were and step into who you are becoming. Think about a time when you made a major change in your life. Maybe it was a career shift, a change in your health, or an important relationship transformation. What did you have to do to make that change? You had to take action. You had to choose to let go of the past version of yourself and step into a new identity. That same power exists for you every day. Reinvention doesn't mean starting over from scratch. It means building on who you already are, while shedding the limitations you once thought were part of you. The person you were yesterday doesn't have to dictate the person you are today. If you've made mistakes, learned hard lessons, or faced setbacks, those experiences are part of the process, but they don't have to define you. They can fuel your growth, but they don't have to be the story that holds you back. The key to relentless reinvention is commitment. Commit to who you are becoming, not who you've been. Set new goals, break old habits, embrace new learning, and make consistent efforts to transform your mind, body, and life. Reinvention is about owning your future rather than being a passive observer of it. It's about deciding that you are not bound by your past mistakes and that you have the power to take bold steps toward a new version of yourself. One that's even stronger, wiser, and more aligned with your deepest aspirations. Every time you reinvent yourself, you're becoming a better version of who you were yesterday. So, don't wait for permission to change. Reinvent yourself relentlessly. Keep growing, evolving, and stepping into the person you are meant to be. Your future self is waiting for you to show up, and the only person standing in your way is the old version of yourself who's afraid of change. You've now explored how to break free from the chains of your past and create a future that is fully in your control. Remember, your past is part of your story, but it doesn't define you. You have the power to rewrite your narrative, embrace your failures as fuel, and relentlessly reinvent yourself. The road ahead may not always be easy, but by consistently choosing to act in alignment with the person you want to become, you are shaping the life you deserve. As you move forward, keep in mind that every step you take today is an investment in your future. Own your past, challenge your limiting beliefs, and let go of the people or stories that keep you stuck. Create a vision so compelling that it drowns out any doubts or regrets. You have the power to turn your mistakes into lessons and your failures into stepping stones. Start today. Forgive yourself, act with intention, and reinvent who you are at every moment. Your future self is waiting, and it's time to take the first step toward becoming that person. If you found this episode helpful, be sure to like, share, and subscribe so you can keep moving forward on your journey of self-growth. Remember, the power to transform your life is in your hands. Keep moving forward, stay focused on your vision, and embrace the limitless possibilities ahead.